Well, good evening, everybody, and fantastic to see you here. I know there's been a little bit of a challenge with the reminder links, but well done for hunting it out. It is the same. If you're ever in that situation again, it is the same, irrespective, because it's a rolling registration. So just look for a previous one to get you on. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Milan here, and apologies to all for my miscommunication last week, but I'm glad it was a good session anyway, that I sort of put together or used a session I was already working on. So we made sure that you got something good, and we're delighted to welcome the man here today, live, up close and personal from the other side of the planet, with his big cup of coffee in hand, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Good man. So what we've talked about is just he's really looking to really nail what Autochartist can do. And as before, if you contribute by asking questions and anything that you have a challenge with, we want you to be in the best place to maximize the use of this fantastic tool by the end of the session and beyond. I will make sure you all get access to a recording after the event as well. But without any further ado, I'll pass you on to Ilan, and it'll give you the benefit of his
Mike,
wisdom.
you don't want to show a little disclaimer, or do you not have one today?
Oh, that's a good idea, actually. Yeah, let's just pop that up, because obviously we are. What Ilan does is he uses Autochartist on live markets. So just bear in mind that anything that you see here should be taken as part of the educational process. You've got to make your own decisions in terms of whether anything you see, any change of sentiment, is right for you or not. And obviously, as you'll have heard both of us bang on about many times, risk management is critical to anything you do in trading. So please bear that in mind and do the right thing. Right, important message done. I'm now passing the baton.
Okay. Right. Let me start up my screen sharing.
I can see your.
You can see me?
There
you see
we
my
go.
happy
Yes,
smiling face?
we can indeed.
You can.
And we now see charts as well. That's great.
Okay,
So we're
okay.
all good to go.
Just in case you're wondering about the size of my coffee, I'm not sure if you can read that text. No?
Don't mess with what? Sorry? Oh, don't mess with Texas.
Texas.
Absolutely. No, particularly when Texas haven't had a cup of coffee. I get it.
All right, yeah. So yeah, it is an early morning. Hello, everyone. It's just 5 a.m. I woke up at 4:30 and with a panic because my computer is giving me trouble. So I'm in a bit of a adrenaline mode at the moment, trying to get ready for this webinar. Well, morning, everyone, or good evening, everybody. How you all doing? Good to be here again. So what Mike asked me to do this morning is not specifically an education session, but rather a walk through the markets, which will act as a kind of a proxy for an education session using Autochartist. So it is not a cherry-picked session. It is a completely live session. As I said, I just woke up, so want to look at what's going on in the markets anyway myself. So we'll do it all together. Just that everyone knows, obviously, no one's trying to sell you anything. You get Autochartist free if you have a live funded account at Go Markets. So no one's trying to sell you anything at all. Just trying to learn, right? So put your guards down and let's learn together. So the first things first is you need to drag and drop the Autochartist Expert Advisor onto your chart. If you haven't got it installed, go to the Go Markets web page. There's a tool section and there's a download Autochartist link in there, and it's one of those usual setup wizards that you go through on any application. It installs it onto your Meta, and you have this Expert Advisor. Now, some people get a little bit taken back. They think that it's an EA, and so it's going to trade on your behalf. It will not trade on your behalf. If you're worried about it trading on your behalf, just untick the the auto trading button on the top of the screen, but it does not trade. It's not a bot or anything like that. It's a market analysis tool. And so when you drag and drop the tool onto your chart, what it'll do is it'll scan your market watch list for trading opportunities, right? Actually, I don't have my default settings set up quite the way I want them to, and I'll walk through those in just a moment. But essentially, when you drag it on, you'll have these kind of default settings that Autochartist brings up. So you've got these technical chart pattern, breakout technical chart patterns, breakout key levels, approaching key levels. I'll walk through some of those today. I'm not going to go through the Fibonacci's and all of that other good stuff today. I'll enable a big move as well. I'll just walk through some of the default settings for today because it's a market overview rather than a whole session about Autochartist specifically. What it does is that it takes your market watch list, produces all the technical and statistical trade setups available on the market today. So now you can see there's a dozen, maybe and a few more, so maybe 15, 16 trading opportunities on the major currency pairs at the moment. What we can do now is we can actually walk through each of them. So if we click on the view button next to the instrument name, you can see that we're expecting a breakout triangle, right? A little line going through an arrow going through a line, and a name, and that's exactly what we have. So Autochartist has identified a breakout triangle on the pound dollar. I've just got the majors over here on my market watch window. And provides us a target level up to that price. It also, interestingly enough, provides us some indication of market volatility. Let me just get a pen quickly. You can see that Autochartist shows us that it's expecting a movement of that size in the next 4 hours and that size in the next 24 hours. So it looks like the target for this trade setup is kind of in the 24-hour range, right? That it'll give you a good idea of you know, when you can expect those targets to hit or not, of course. But this is quite a when I look at something like this, I'm looking at quite a well-formed pattern, right? Very distinct support resistance levels. What I'm seeing in general is a consolidation in the market, right, around this price. So would I trade a position like this? I might decide to take a very short-term position, but certainly long-term, the pound on this chart, the pound is not showing any bias in direction, right? So what you can normally do is you can kind of zoom out, have a look at the chart, maybe change the time frame, have a look at a different chart on a different time frame. It's really, really high at the moment, and obviously we know the reason for that. It's less due to pound strength and more due to dollar weakness. That's what happened when you print a couple of $1 trillion during COVID relief. So you kind of naturally expect the dollar to depreciate. So maybe no long-term position on the pound, but possibly a short-term position. And I'll take a few. Let me just run through a couple of these things. The next thing I want to look at is the Swiss franc. These are obviously some of my favorite types of trade setups, which are the key levels. Now this is super cool. I never saw this before. This is on the hourly chart. We can see that Swissy has hit this level or around this level a couple of times, and now it's moving towards that level again. We won't go into probabilities today, but the probabilities of a approaching support level hitting its target region is very high on Forex. It's probably north of around 80% or so. There is a probability filter over here. Again, I'm not going to go into that. Let's look at that in the next session. Today, we're just going to run through the markets the way I look at them, where I look at the markets using Autochartist, right? So again, we're not going into all the features today. But if I had to filter out, I'm guessing if I had to filter out by 70% or more probability of hitting the target region, oh, I don't get that. Oh, is that it? I don't get that one, which is quite strange. I normally would get that result, pound Swiss franc. I'm surprised. I'm surprised I'm not getting that result with the high probabilities, to be honest with you. Normally, it will be very, very high. Okay, anyway, we'll go into the probabilities later, but this is a really, really good thing to look at. So I might just take a position on this. So point noted on the US dollar Swiss franc. Certainly, I'd be quicker to take a position on the Swissy than I would on the pound, on that kind of non-directional triangle. Oh, this looks interesting. Euro dollar. What's happening on the euro dollar hourly chart? Did Autochartist do a good job here? Kind of a good job. I see a lot of consolidation at that level, so it kind of got that right. It kind of got this right. This is a little bit off kilter for me. So, I might do some manual tweaking here and say, maybe Autochartist didn't get that level exactly right. Maybe the level's supposed to be over here. It is a computer after all, so maybe that's a better level. Again, this is an awesome move. I mean, this is definitely something I would take. So we're seeing a big move against the dollar here, another big one, a test of that level. Obviously, a lot of testing of that level previously, and now a move towards that level. Yeah, this is definitely something I would go for, around 122, also a round number, which is a very, very interesting thing, as always. So why don't we go ahead and actually make this trade? I think, Mike, let's make a live trade. So we'll take the Autochartist risk calculator. We'll drag and drop it onto our chart. The risk calculator gets installed along with your market scanner. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my risk calculator. I'm going to set my stop loss at normally what I do, which is the kind of the previous major turning point. And the reason I would set my stop loss here is because you can see that there's consolidation at this level. Again, consolidation here, a lot of consolidation at that level. So I know that my risk reward is big, right? That's the way I trade. I know everyone teaches maybe always set your risk reward to 1 or more, or reward to risk to 1 or more. I am not a big proponent of that. I believe that a dollar value is the most important thing. And for some reason, my risk calculator isn't working, which is not a good sign. I'm not getting, that's interesting. I should be getting a volume number over here. That's a bit embarrassing. Sorry, Mike. I have been messing around with it, but looks like it's not working too well for me. That's really, really strange and disappointing. Let me try that again. Of course, in a presentation, things have got to go wrong, right? Clearly something wrong. Okay, so the risk calculator is supposed to give me my volume. So based on my stop level over here. So anyway, today I won't use the risk calculator, but that sucks for me. To be honest, I must get the technical guys to look at that. Anyway, so let's take a position on this instrument. Again, as I said, I think Autochartist got the target level slightly wrong. Let's go ahead and take a position. New order. Here's my order button. I'll take a 0.1 position because I'm not sure about the sizing right now on that. With a stop loss at 121.60, and I would buy at market. Okay. Oh, I got my level slightly wrong. I can see I got my kind of stop level slightly wrong. maybe at 127. There we go. That looks much better. Okay, so I'm open in my position. Let's hope it goes north. I would have loved to get my position size right. We'll have to ignore that for now. I'll look into it for the next session. So that's one I really want to look at. Let's look at pound. Very similar looking chart on the pound. Again, so we had a triangle and we had this one. I'm not going to set another position because the euro and the pound are highly correlated. Let's look at what the yen is doing at the moment. So an interesting support level on the yen right now. Autochartist believes that the price is moving towards this level here, which is an interesting call because the trend for me seems to be up. Although one can't argue that there has been consolidation at this level, but the trend seems to be up for me for now. I am not going to take this position. And you can see through my thought process how kind of picky I am about the stuff that I trade, because we've got a dozen or so trading opportunities to go through. There's no need to jump onto the first one that you see, right? So let's look at this Kiwi dollar. So this is really interesting for me. Now, why is this an interesting opportunity? I'm looking at this, and what am I seeing? I'm seeing a very well-formed triangle. I see a very large breakout, a big candle move psychologically through that support level. But more importantly, I see massive resistance at this price level. Let me move at around 0.73, right? I see massive resistance. So the thing that comes up with in my mind's eye first is this move, this bounce off this very strong resistance level. I quite like this, and I'm gonna take this position. I'm gonna go short, new order. I'm gonna go short at a stop of around 0.73. I'm gonna sell the market there. Okay, let's see how that goes. And then pound, we've looked at the pound already. I'm not going to go into the pound again. Okay, so here's something we've seen, a big move on the Aussie dollar, which is interesting because it doesn't look like it's the big move actually happened between the high and this low over here. I'm not sure. I think we can disregard this big move signal here because it's kind of been teetering around this level. This is more just a bit of, I guess this last candle over here is a bit of noise and just kind of corrected again. So I'm guessing we ignore this big move signal right now. Certainly that's what I would do. Swissy, again, we've looked at the Swissy. Although this is on the 1 hourly chart, yeah. Okay, and as we go down the list, you can see that the signals are getting older, right? So this one happened a while back, and we know we're a few candles old for that. We kind of don't really want to have a look at that one anymore. This one is a little old. This is on the yen daily chart. So certainly a long-term trend. I'm looking at this trend. Long-term trend definitely up, although, well, very long-term trend up. Medium-term trend, obviously when we're talking about a daily chart, right? Medium-term trend kind of sideways. I'm not sure, a little non-directional for me, to be completely frank. I think we'll let that one go. Let's see what's happening over here. A couple of old support resistance level that we identified, right? Okay, so now I've got a couple of positions open, and I'm hoping for the best. So now, if you're a oh, right. So Chris, you've got a good question. So Chris is a good question. So the lines, the Autochartist lines, Autochartist won't let you move them around, right? So if I move my Autochartist line and then kind of when the thing refreshes, it just moves the line back again, right, Chris? That's what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a good feature request, actually. I never really thought about allowing people to move the lines around. Maybe I should. So yes, to answer your question, no, there's no way to allow you to move the lines around. Autochartist always snaps the stuff back. But I'll jot it down as a feature request. Actually, just give me a second. Um, um, yes, there's no toggle, unfortunately, at this stage. It will move the line back to where it was before. I guess if you find the line in the wrong place, right, you can probably take another kind of drawing object and draw it where you wanted to draw it, right? I'm guessing that's the best solution I can offer you at this stage. Um, right, yeah, Alisa, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yeah, change the color when you move it so that you know it's auto-generated or it's the thing that you've moved. But you're right. For now, I think just use a different drawing object to move these lines. Yeah, even if I erase it, it should come back after a while. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about just a couple of little things here. There it is. There was an example. It refreshed. If you want to get access to the stuff on mobile, on your cell phone, uh, just download the Autochartist app on your App Store, your Google Play Store, and there's a button that says Scan QR code. This is the QR code that you scan, and it'll allow you access to the mobile application. And what the mobile application is based on actually is not this entire list of trading opportunities. It's based on these minimum probability filters. And so you don't get a flood of information on your cell phone. You only get kind of a slow trickle of trade setups coming through to your cell phone. And what they're based on is they're based on the past performance over the last I think it's 12 months now. We change our stats. It's a 12-month process. So what we do in those stats is we check how often Autochartist hit its target level, right? How often it's hit this target level within one pattern length, right? So what we do is we'd map, if this was one pattern length, we'd map that pattern length onto the end of the chart, and we measure it. And if it hits this area here, we give it a tick mark. If it doesn't, we give it a cross, bad result. So when I say minimum probability filter, it means that over the last 12 months, this kind of pattern on the pound, on this time interval, and this trade setup hit its target region at least 60% of the time. So again, that's one of the important things about the disclaimer that Mike gave us earlier is, past performance may not be indicative of future performance, and I don't think that you should look at any analysis systems past performance as gospel, and I think you're lying to yourself if you're looking for silver bullet, right? All you're trying to do in trading is shift the odds slightly in your favor, right? That's all you're trying to do. You're not trying to get 10 out of 10 trades right. You're trying to get 5.5 trades out of 10 right, or 55 out of 100 trades right. That's all you're trying to do, right? Shift the odds in your favor, and so that you're winning more than you're losing. Okay, so that's the first thing. There's also a few little other odds and ends. So if you actually want to look at the performance stats themselves, you can just copy and paste this URL into your browser, and it'll show you all the performance stats completely broken down. So you can do that in your own time. We're not going to do that in today's session. But then most importantly is back to the filters section, and this is where things get quite interesting depending on your level of expertise and your level of experience. So when you enable everything in Autochartist, all the different chart analysis types on all the different time frames, you go from 2 pages. Let me remove the probability filter. You go from 2 pages to 9 pages. Okay. So there is just an insane amount of stuff happening in the market at any point in time. And so you need to be really, really picky and choosy about what you do. So, I just clicked on this Gartley pattern, which is a Fibonacci, a multi-step Fibonacci pattern on US dollar CAD 4-hourly chart. And you can see that unless you know exactly what you're doing, there's just an insane amount of lines, an insane amount of legs to this pattern. By default, when you install Autochartist, we don't enable Fibonacci. That's because many people just get completely overwhelmed, right? But again, depending on your level of sophistication, you might turn everything else off and just look at Fibonacci, right? Because certainly, if you look at an opportunity like this, let's just zoom in just a little bit. And I'm no Fibonacci expert, but the idea would be that you could set a really, really nice limit order on one of these, right, on one of these lines, on the different ratio lines, right? So where do you think the price is going to hit, right? Are we going to turn around at this level, or is it at this level, or at this level? So these kind of emerging Fibonacci patterns give you an amazing way of taking a preemptive position against the market, which is, depending on the group that I'm talking to, you guys are quite sophisticated. You understand limit orders and stop orders. There are many groups that I talk to which don't even have a clue. They just trade at the spot price, right? So, again, really, really play with this filter button carefully, and don't overwhelm yourself with junk that you don't want, right? So, the other one that really floods the console, I'm just going to erase a whole bunch and show you which one that is the emerging chart patterns. So emerging chart patterns are interesting in that, let me just zoom out of that. Okay, that's on a 15-minute chart. It shows you patterns that are still in the process of forming. So if you've opened up a textbook on technical analysis, you find that a breakout through support resistance is a very important market event, right? That's really what technical analysis is based around. What we do is we show you when stuff is still trading within a certain within a comfortable range, right? So you can see here that the Aussie dollar is trading within these support resistance levels, right? It hasn't yet broken through the support or the resistance line as yet. And so one has to be quite careful and quite experienced in the market to try and understand what it is that you're trading here, right? Because some people might say, well, we're going to trade the spot price up to this level, right? And then that's one way of trading it. The other way of trading it is to actually set some kind of sell limit order, so that you don't trade long, you're actually trading short if it hits that level, right? So there's so many different ways, so many different ways of trading these emerging chart patterns. Again, that's one of the reasons why by default we don't actually show that. Oh, sorry, that's not the one I'm looking for. We don't actually show that one by default when we launch the MetaTrader plugin. Okay, and then as you can clearly see, even by just adding in the M15 and the M30, so let's go back to what we would by default show on Autochartist. If I remove M30, M15, I click on scan, I got 2 pages of well, a dozen or so trade setups that I can easily go through, and we just went through them today, right? Together. As soon as I enable M15 and M30, we get a whole bunch more, right? So we actually get 3 full pages, right? So we've doubled the amount of trading opportunities we're looking at. And so, at some point, you start enabling stuff and things get out of hand, and then it just takes too long to go through it. And then you get lazy because it takes too long, and then you stop using the tool, and and it doesn't end well. And so I always kind of, I guess my view is that there are always plenty of opportunities in the market, right? You don't have to overwhelm yourself. Don't force the trade, right? Just get yourself into a comfortable trading space, into some kind of regime or process that you're comfortable with, and then the trades will come to you, right? Just like they did over here. So, we're right now the markets are not moving at all. Maybe they will start moving soon when the US market wakes up in about an hour or two. We'll see how those trades go. But I think that's what I wanted to talk through today, just like a general overview. So I've got a question from Shane. Hi, Ilan. Can you explain use of a quality of historical patterns? Shane, by quality, I'm guessing you mean, let me just zoom out of this thing a little bit, sorry. I'm guessing you mean this, wow. Oh, I'm having major technical issues today. I've been messing with my computer and I just did an upgrade, so everything has gone to hell. Yeah, okay, so that's not opening up for me. I don't know why. Sorry, let me try see if I can open up something else. Autochartist is working, but for some reason my pattern details are not coming up. All right, let me show you a different way of getting those pattern details. Sorry everyone for the technical problems today. I'm just going to go into my web platform and show you what I think Shane is talking about. Every trading opportunity that we have comes with some pattern quality indicators. I hope you can see my chart. So we've got these things over here. Quality, overall quality, initial trend, volume, uniformity, clarity, breakout, right? So each pattern is identified, has got these kind of information about it. So the initial trend is how strong is the initial trend before the formation of the pattern. So you can see that in this situation, the initial trend has been set kind of at around 4 out of 10, because classical chart patterns, you have to have a much stronger initial trend, right? So you can see it's about a 4 out of 10, right? If we had to look at a classical chart pattern, so it did that correctly. The volume actually should be ignored in OTC markets, but essentially the theory is that there should be an increase in the volume. So if you imagine a volume indicator, there should be an increase in the volume at the point of breakout. In this situation, not much. Uniformity, I agree, it's super uniform. You can see the oscillation between support and resistance. It's very uniform. Clarity, relatively high. Clarity means how much noise is there between the touching points. So you can see in the beginning there was quite a bit of noise over here and a bit of noise over here, but the rest of the pattern is relatively smooth and noise free, right? Relatively clear. And then finally, the breakout. The breakout got a really, really high value over here, and that's obvious because you can see that the size of the breakout relative to the previous historical movements was relatively high. And this is a very, very important piece of information. I have found in my experience that the breakout is extremely important, as well as the initial trend. Those are the kind of two things that I look at. I don't look at patterns that are formed kind of from noise. And I think we spoke about this in the first example today, when I said, hey, it kind of started off through a bit of noise and consolidation. Markets go up and down naturally, right? Can you say that this was a strong initial trend? You can't really say it, right? So it's, I'm not a particular fan of things that form out of maybe noise, right, and onto strong initial trend. So for me, again, the things that I look at is strong breakout, strong initial trend. That's the kind of things that I'm looking at. So Josh is asking, what timeframes have you found produce the most consistent results, long or short? So Josh, actually, the from a past performance perspective, and you can look at the past performance history, let's say on FX. Let's look at the time intervals. So in terms of time intervals on performance over the last 12 months, there isn't much variance for technical chart patterns in terms of the data intervals. If we look at, let's look at breakout key levels, or was that approaching key levels? So kind of all in the 80s based on the data interval. There isn't much variance. However, I want to answer your question slightly differently in that I found that when I'm looking at 15-minute patterns, 30-minute patterns, I found myself very reactive and emotional to the markets. And so although from an Autochartist perspective, there isn't a statistical bias in terms of the time intervals, I find that there's a bias in my trading performance because I'm not able to react quickly enough, right? I know I'm in the trading game, but I don't trade full time for a living anymore. So it's very difficult to watch 15-minute, 30-minute patterns, so I definitely prefer kind of the hourly, 4-hourly, daily kind of patterns, but that's, again, no indication of statistics. It's just the way I find works for me. I like to have the time to think about trades. I like to have the time to consider them, think about my options of what I'm going to do if it goes in the wrong direction. It just gives me peace of mind and I sleep much easier, to be completely frank with you. And I think that's a very, very important part of trading. And I'm sure that Mike will agree with me on that, not his peace of mind. Okay, is there anything else specific that you guys want me to have a look at? I think next time we'll have a closer look at the risk calculator, which I'm so embarrassed isn't working right now. That was a little embarrassing. Never had that happen to me before in a webinar. So, okay, so I think that's it. Hope you enjoyed my little spiel and my run through the markets. Oh, Elisa's got another question. Yes. Okay, right, Elisa. So let me find you the tool and where to find it. Just give me one moment while I do that for you. Mike, if you're there, do you know if the customer has to log into to download the tool?
My understanding is that, yeah, they have to go into the client portal,
Oh,
download it from there.
okay.
Is how it's actioned.
Okay.
I think.
Give me a second. I'm going to try and I don't. Oh no, I don't seem to have a. Let me quickly see. I'm trying to log into that portal. Oh, I have been logged in. I want to quickly find that tool. So the idea is, sorry everyone. It used to have a link, direct download link. I think there was. Oh, that's one of the links we were working on, right, Mike? I
Yes, I
think we
think
were.
it is.
Yeah.
Alyssa, if you could drop me a little email at mike.smith@gomarkets.com, I will ping. I'll ping the tech guys tomorrow and get them to sort that out for you. Maybe give
Yeah.
you a
In the
call.
meantime,
So,
I'm going to send you all a link where you can download it
oh, perfect.
without having to go
That's
searching.
great, Alon.
Let me see if I can send that to everyone. I'm going to send that through to entire audience. Send. Alisa, let me know if you get that link in the chat window. I think I sent it to the entire audience. Okay, so there you can, so on that page, let me show you what that page looks like. On that page, you can download the plugin. And there's also 4 short little videos. They're actually just a minute and a half each. Well, okay, I see some of them are 3 minutes. Okay, not much longer, but they'll tell you everything I've just told you in a much more succinct and organized way. Especially, again, really sorry that I couldn't get my risk calculator to work, but if you watch that 4-minute video for the risk calculator, it's a pretty awesome little video. You can have a look at that. But yeah, there's a link you can download. Let me see. I've got a whole bunch
Perfect,
of
Ilan.
stuff here. Okay, Sue, Mike, I guess you'll help Sue get the webinar recording. Okay, Alison is great that the Autochartist mobile app works without MT4, which is great. Okay, good. I'm happy that you like that, Alison. Okay. Alison, thanks for that, Ilan. Okay, cool. I see a whole bunch of. Okay, right. So Shane is asking, is the software automatically updated when launched? Yes. So the software, the actual trading opportunities themselves are updated every few minutes, but they kind of come up every 15 minutes or so. And then the reason we go through a setup process, a setup wizard, is because the software itself once a day just checks Autochartist for an update on the software, and then just updates itself. That's okay. That's it. Mike, can I hand it over back to you? I know you normally run some polls. I don't know if you have one today.
Yes, you can. I do have a poll. Yes. Thank you so much, Ilan. I'll just
There we go. I've handed the conch back to you.
thank you. Let me just
I'm going to switch my video off so you don't have to keep looking at me. Let me figure out how to do that. Okay. There we go. Should have stopped.
And I haven't got the right poll there. It's just one of those nights, ladies and gents. Well, look, thank you, Ilan, once again for an excellent session. We have got great news is we have got the man booked again for mid-July. Just watch your emails for confirmation of part 3, where as Ilan's already talked, we're going to go into detail about the risk calculator, how to optimize its use, etc. I'll put my email address, for those of you who don't know it off by heart at this stage, into chat as well. So any of the questions that relate to recordings or any of that sort of stuff, so Sue, for example, feel free to drop me a line and I'll follow that up and make sure you do have it. And yep, that's all good. Anyway, guys, well, next week, as I said, watch out for Ilan coming back in July. Next week we've got. I'm going to wax lyrical about the commodity that's outperformed Bitcoin this year, which is copper, and how you can sort of look at that, the trials and tribulations of trading copper, which is available now on the Go Markets platform. Things to be aware of, how it's priced, and if you don't fancy the pure commodity, then what share CFDs might be might be interesting. I'll give you sort of some opinion on why copper may be continuing its bullish run it's been in really since the pandemic started. But we're up at highs we haven't seen since 2011. So pop into that one if it's your bag. And either way, we'll see you on live update tomorrow. If you can rock up to that, what I'll do is I'll just ping a link to that. If you just give me a second. I'll just put the link in there for any of you who are not. We do these live updates lunchtime and lunchtime Melbourne time. It's not lunchtime my time either. But you'd be very welcome along. We just go through the markets and look at what's moving and grooving. I'll just put that link up there now. Boom, send. There we go. So it's in chat. So if you're not part of that group, and it's a rolling registration, so you need only do it once and then attend whenever you can. And really, that's it. So once again, thanks so much, guys, for rocking up. Thanks again to Ilan for, as always, an awesome presentation, not only from the point of view of Autochartist, but also some great reinforcement of the key practices and thinking behind trading. It's always great to have you along, mate. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of the evening. Trade safe. We'll see you again
everyone.
very soon.
Bye.
Sorry, Lana, talked over you there, buddy.
Oh, no, I was just saying thank you, Mike. Thanks for the opportunity. See you soon.
Anytime, buddy. Absolutely. Take care, mate.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, guys. Yeah, take care of yourselves. Trade safe. We'll see you soon. And thanks once again for rocking up and participating. It's always a joy, a pleasure, and a privilege. Bye-bye for now.